Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Sean Conley and Chris McElwain. I'm not quite sure what look you're going for. Is it McNally, Rabsy Nisbet? What you all about?
I'm just representing the bandana brigades.
I think Kirstie Alley from Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, quite possible. That's my era.
Blast from the past. I'll tell you something, right? We can't score 10 goals, Sean, in 2 games and moan. Just can't do it. We just can't.
No,
do it.
we can't moan. No. We can look at it and we can make comment, but we can certainly can't moan after 10 goals in 2 games.
I'm just. I want to start
6 points, 10 goals. It's
totally.
Yeah, it's a good return.
Clinical, isn't it? Really clinical. And it could have been more. This is the thing. I'm going to start off by talking about Yang, who had a goal rightly chopped off, but he scored 2. He's came on. And am I just going to have to put my hands up, guys, and admit I got it wrong? I got it Yang even.
I don't think so. I don't think you would say you got it wrong yet. No, I think the jury is there's a much larger body of evidence that Yang is not Celtic quality than there is body of evidence that he is going to make it. And fair recency bias, the body of evidence in recent times is that he is looking like he's developed into an effective contributor to this squad, and all props to him. I thought after Jeffrey Schlupp, he was the second best player on the pitch tonight, even though he came on for only the last 30 minutes. So, but no, I think it's too early, and there's just too much negative evidence against Yang to say he's going to be the man yet. But that's not. I don't want to be negative because he has been great in the last few weeks. I said against Aberdeen he was great, and tonight he was even better. So he has been an effective contributor and a very positive contributor in the last few weeks.
There's a lot of love being shown for Yang. They're singing in the comment section, Yang Alang, amongst other things. I do. There's another one, Yang at heart. It goes on. Like I like Yangnam style, but I'm not going to dance along to it. And you're being likened to Hilda Ogden, Chris, with that headband on.
That's probably closer. Yeah, that's probably close to the truth.
And am I right in saying it was Yang who played that first time ball through to Maeda as well?
Believe so. Yeah, believe so.
It might have been hopeful, or it might have been a touch of genius. I'm not sure, but he is racking up the assists and the goals, Chris.
Do you know what I mean? I take a slightly different view to Sean. I appreciate there's been a lot of negative observations about Yang, and I agree with him. I've been part of that. But what I would say is the manager's shown a degree of faith in the player. Post-January, didn't leave the club. Palma did. Yang didn't. All you can ask a player to do is when he gets the opportunity is to come in and impress. And, it's taken him time. I think it's understandable. He's still young. I think he's still 21 or 22. I think 22 years old. First time playing outside of Korea, I believe. And, he's taking time to adapt. Now, is he at the level where you think you throw him into a Champions League game? No, absolutely not, right? But all you can ask a player to do is come in, contribute with assists, contribute with goals, make a meaningful contribution. And in the last few games, he's starting to do that. Now, what I would say is, do we all jump in the bandwagon and say suddenly this player who have been quite rightly denigrating for the past couple of months, for maybe not living up to the standards of the levels we expect? But you've got to say, well, he's now got X amount of months between now and end of the season to really show that he belongs in a Celtic jersey. And for me, if he keeps doing what he's done in the last few games, I couldn't ask any more of the player. So, credit to the manager, credit to the coaching staff for, I think, giving him the self-belief, giving the player the self-belief, and credit to the player for taking the opportunity. So yeah, I'm not going to criticise Yang today. I think this is his night. 2 goals, could have been 3. I think at least 1 assist, and he looked rightly happy and confident towards the end of that game. And what I'd like to see is I'd like him to do something we levelled at Ida earlier, is show that consistency, keep the standards high, keep doing those things well, and taking the opportunities. And he could play himself into a role in this Celtic squad.
although he was getting, in fact, he was getting slaughtered by quite a few people, and I simply didn't think he was good enough, and I said it was a flip of a coin over him and Palma as to which one stayed, simply to keep the numbers up in terms of the wingers after January. Brendan has seen something, and he's persevered with him, Sean, and he's started to get a bit of a payout now.
Well, look, our major criticism was lack of end product. He's got 2 goals and an assist tonight. And when Jota came in, we were like, after 2 or 3 games of Jota, we're like, he's contributed more than Yang in 2 to 3 games. And look, and then Yang's contributed more tonight than Jota has in the last. But and that's what we want. You want an arms race like that. You want players competing with each other, to score goals and get assists. I totally agree with everything Chris said, but I also, not to pick up Chris, just a thing that a lot of people say is first time out of X, right? Odsonne Edouard was first time out of France, and he comes, first in, Arne Engels, first time out of Belgium. You can apply this logic to every player, right? That's coming in, that's younger than Yang was. Yeah, of course, but I'm not arguing against you, Chris. I do agree with everything you said. I'm just
yes, yeah. Go on.
I'm making the point that sometimes it's a bit of a banal idiom that people use to kind of say, give a youth player time, you're letting them develop, and that the goal that he does get chopped off, that was a throwback. Let's be clear, the worst performance Yang had in a Celtic jersey was at St Mirren Park, and it sticks out in everyone's mind. The one where he was like called offside like 5 times in one half. The one where he was hooked at halftime.
That's right. Yeah.
And people, me personally, and I'm sure other people, that really sticks in the mind for people. And tonight to come back to the same ground and offer that retribution of 2 goals and assists, and you could argue a match-winning performance in 30 minutes is a really nice full circle for Yang. And whether he makes it Celtic or not, I really hope he does. But I want every player at Celtic to succeed, as we all do. But whether he does or not, that's a really good narrative to come back to that tonight.
No, you're right, Sean, because it does stick in your mind, and you think to yourself, there was another game against Motherwell where he was hooked at half-time at Fir Park. It seemed to be the case where the Motherwell fans managed to spook him a bit. They were giving him dogs abuse.
That's right, yep.
They basically were accusing him of diving, and he got booed every time he got the ball, and he's just shrunk at half-time. He got taken off. You've seen him tonight. He's grown in stature and mentality. I think even physically he looks as though he's bulked up a fair bit. Someone mentioned that. Now, tonight for me was a night of predictions, gentlemen, and I'm going to remind you of two predictions that I made before a ball was kicked. The first one was Jeff Schlupp scoring tonight, his first goal for Celtic. The second one, maybe a wee bit easier to predict, was that Gogic would get a booking, right? So I got the 2 of them right. But
do I predict the sun will come up tomorrow, Paul?
Yes, you're right. Guaranteed is that, isn't it? But I was watching this just before we made the substitutions, and I thought Rio Otaki was having a really poor game, which takes us on to the discussion as to how he finished the game. I just thought to myself, the balls were getting, slack passing, losing possession. But before the subs were coming, and you got a sense that the subs were coming, I done what you said, Sean, about watching a player and watching their movement as much as I could, watching it on the screen. And I was watching McGregor, and he looked spent. He looked done. Honestly, it was as if he was running in treacle. Now, I'm not saying he's lost his legs and all this stuff, right? I'm dead against that. I don't think he has. But tonight, he looked done in. He looked absolutely knackered. So I looked at the situation, and I thought, you know what, right? Rio's not having a great game, but why not take off the captain? I didn't expect it to happen. Why not? And I've written it down. Take off Kalmak and play Engels in his role. That for me was the game-changing moment, Sean. Now, again, I'm not saying, listen, drop McGregor, he's finished or any of that. But what a difference when McGregor came off, Engels went into that kind of role, and Hatate came alive. And McCowan played really well as well.
And the funny thing is, McGregor wasn't having a bad game. Like, all my notes were about him doing effective defensive work. Like, but had similar notes for Engels. So you're making a good point there that it might be that with Kalmak coming off, Engels just took that role on his own and allowed 2 midfielders to free up. But you're right, you're absolutely right. But Hatate was anonymous in the first half. The game was passing him by, and then he was much more effective and much more was going through him in the second half. So I get your point. I totally agree with it. McCowan hits the post. 5-2. I don't want to say it flatters us because it doesn't, but we deserve to win on that second half performance. You could maybe make the point that St Mirren has ran a race, but we really got hold of the midfield, as you mentioned, and away in the second half that we really didn't in the first half. Whether that's down to the freshness of the legs or whether it's just down to change of shape, having one player, Engels, doing the role of what was Kalmack and Engels doing together in the first half, hard to say. But we did. Once those substitutions were made, we did take control of that midfield, and it did help us dominate that second half.
Yeah, and we were defending a lot less because of it, because I think there was some worrying moments where the ball was getting played in and no one was taking ownership in the middle. But we had fewer of those situations once the midfield stepped up. Before I come to you, Chris, I'm going to ask the resident referee to talk us through the AJ moment where there's a slide tackle. It kind of follows through and it does catch the player on the ankle. What's the story with that one, Sean? Because he wins the ball first, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think we had a conversation about this one pretty recently. Was it I can't remember what game it was, but we did have a conversation about this one recently where if you win the ball, it has to be dangerous. If you win the ball,
it was the European game, Sean, the Bayern game. Remember, it was.
That's right. It was.
Yeah.
The Engels got his ankle. Exactly. So, thanks for remembering, Chris. That is the perfect analogy. The one where Engels gets his ankle folded by the Bayern Munich defender. That is a perfectly analogous one to what happened with AJ tonight. Is it really turned on the fact that the Bayern Munich defender had got his toe in the ball. And at that point, if you get your toe in the ball and it's a football action, it then has to be dangerous for it to be a foul. And you can make the argument. I don't think it was. He's not moving with pace. It's not above the ankle. I think it was just, if he doesn't get his foot in the ball, sure, it's a yellow card and a penalty. But gets the foot in the ball, it's therefore a football action. It's not endangering the opponent. It's it's borderline, but it's one of those ones, right? That's the way we referee. That's the way we interpret the rules. If you don't like it, that's the rules. Change the rules.
No, that's an interesting point to make, though, the Engels one, because we felt so hard done by that night against Bayern Munich, but very, very similar when you actually look at it tonight. I'm going to bring up some of these comments before we talk about the likes of Dyson Maeda having the season of his life, 26 goals now. I mean, we're talking about 30 plus. What a difference the subs make, says Johnny Ryan. And they did. The whole shape, the tempo of the game completely changed. James Devine, good evening, boys. You're on the YouTube. Are we all in a Yang gang now? A lot more of the people tuning in certainly are Yang right now. Defo playing with confidence, says Squeak 1888. But one player who doesn't seem to be playing with a great deal of confidence is Adam Ida. And it's not, all right, we can't slag off Yang, let's find someone else, Chris. But, we lost Kyogo and you're thinking, well, Ida's going to step up. And if we need another striker, then Maeda's there. And Ida has had a few chances from the start where he's failed to impress. And I think he failed to impress tonight again.
Yeah, unfortunately he did. And I think it was highlighted by our, the late performance after the subs when Maeda came in, and we just seemed to have a better balance. It was not only the change of midfield, but actually both our wingers suddenly had, were getting much more involved in the game. And Maeda, he just gives you something different up front. I mean, I don't think it's fair to expect Ida to replicate the traits that Maeda has. Maeda just has this uniqueness about how he plays, that never say die attitude, the pressing, the energy, it must be an absolute nightmare to play against. But I think what Ida's got to find a way to do, and this is similar to what I said at half-time, he's got to find a way to impose himself on games. And actually we said this similar about Kyogo in certain games where he was anonymous before he left, and I was Kyogo's biggest fan. But I felt as though it was too easy to say they're not getting the service, or they're not, we're not playing the ball to them the right way, or not playing to their style. If you're a professional player, if you're a top player, you have to find a way to impose yourself on a game. And I thought tonight was a great opportunity for Ida to do that. I actually thought first 15 minutes, he looked like he was going to do that. And some of his movement wasn't bad tonight. You know, he got himself into decent positions. There was a run early in the second half, which was pretty good, but it kind of didn't get the power on the cross. And I just think there's something missing with the player just now, and I'm hoping it's something that the coaching staff can work on. Maybe it is a confidence thing, but I think he's one of these players that I think feeds off goals. I get the impression if he gets a couple of goals and goes on a bit of a goal scoring run, he'll just continue to score goals. But he's in a little bit of a limbo situation at the moment where he's not really contributing goals, but he's also not really contributing enough to the build up of the play. So I think, you know, maybe just try and play a bit simpler. Maybe play just a little bit more centrally and more as a real foil for the defenders, because he's got, you know, a big physical presence. Actually, one thing I do want to talk about, which I thought he did well tonight, is a couple of occasions he got back and he defended well in the box. He was actually cleared a couple of balls out the box, and we were looking quite vulnerable at corners and cross balls, and he was actually back and did a bit of defending. But you want him to be up there, you know, harassing the defenders, creating goal scoring opportunities or scoring them themselves. And at the moment, I think, you know, we don't, and I'm still not prepared to say he's a second choice. He is a kind of plan B. But I think when you're looking to start games that you want to win, Maeda for me gets the nod. And I think, you know, either as a man you come on, bring on late in the game, maybe, you know, against tired defences, will get his confidence back up. So yeah, I would say that, you know, certainly not writing the player off, no way, shape or form. Would like to see him get more opportunities, but I think at the moment, until we get the title wrapped up, Maeda's the number 9 for me.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with that. Paul Bosas comes in to say 100 points, 100 goals in the league would be nice. Where are we just now? Well, we're 5 wins away from getting the 100 points, and we have scored 87 goals. The thing with Maeda, you can look at his 26 goals that he's contributed. He's also had 9 assists, so he's on a 35 goal contribution season, heading towards 40. It's just sensational. Ian Roy, PJD likes every player in the green and white hoops. And I'm warming to Yang. I'm warming to him. Let's just say, how's the pina coladas going down? That's what we want to know. I'm definitely warming to him. And what's all this stuff about Sloop Dog and Youngsters Paradise? We're going back to the 1990s, East Coast, West Coast.
Right.
Hip-hop battles. Remember, I'm going to throw in, remember Dewey? We could call him Dr. Way, the guy that played against Clyde, remember him? Dyson should get dreadlocks. Dyson could do anything. He could go bald one week and have hair the next. He's just a genius. Titanium Tam. And to be fair to Ewan Boy Martin, a long-time commenter on Acsom, he has supported Yang, and he's saying here, Yang is still young and Brendan Rodgers has worked his magic. Forget his first 12 months and look at his last 12 games. He is getting better and better. This boy has what it takes to be a real Celtic player. And Ewan's not just saying that tonight. He said that for a while. What's your thoughts on Ida then, Sean? Not to try and put a negative on a 5-2 win, just he's having a patchy season, isn't he?
Yeah, and we talked about this after the Aberdeen game as well. He is inconsistent. He is young, older than Yang, who is coming to form. Yeah, it's look, he's technically. I was going to say he's technically our only striker, but with Maeda really stepping up, that's not the case at the moment. Maeda, you mentioned, is on 26 goals this season. The 2.5, because we signed him in January, so the 2.5 seasons preceding that, he scored 29 goals. So he's on almost as many goals this season, and an incomplete season, as he has in 2.5 complete seasons before that. So that kind of tells you that he's clicked something. Something's clicked with him this season. Confidence, whatever, you know, like that finish tonight was a striker's finish. It was a calm finish. It was in the past you might have seen him try to go around the goalkeeper or something, but no, he just knew what the goalkeeper was doing. He knew he could take it on his left foot. He didn't even try and take it on his right. He was quite comfortable taking it on his left. It was a good move. Sorry, you asked about Ida, and I'm talking about Maeda. But yeah, Ida did. He came wide at some points in the first half, but honestly, the first half was so scrappy. I wouldn't judge any player in the first half, to be honest. I don't even think that the changes. I honestly do think it was more that we had fresh legs without dropping quality. Where Mirren their subs dropped the quality, and the players that were quality lost the legs. I think it was more that than anything. I don't know that we had too many chances up until the subs in the 64th minute. I don't think we had a lot of chances. I think it was relatively even in terms of chances at that point. And then when Yang scores that header to put us ahead, I think Hatate takes control of the game, and we just create so many more chances after that. McCowan hits the post, St Mirren start picking up yellow cards. I think it was just, we overran them. And I think Ida's a victim of that. I think if Ida's on the bench and comes on in the 68th minute, then he probably gets a goal. And we're probably talking about either should be starting. You know, I think it was more game plan, game script than anything, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. And I'm loving the way that everybody's changing Yang's name and putting it into other words to describe him and other players' names. I'm going to bring a few of them up. Last week I was talking about Dyson Maeda being a unique player. You know how we can compare certain players to others in Celtic's history, a unique Celtic player. And a few people have said to him, and they said to him on Thursday night when Chris was talking to Johan, that Dyson Maeda reminds them of Didier Agat in many ways. The pace, I'm guessing, the pressing, that kind of thing, and the fact that he couldn't cross a ball. Subs made a spark, says Maestro 95. What a player Maestro was. And Mary Moynes comes in to say, Acsom need to start a Yang fan club. Well done, young man. 2 fantastic goals off the bench. And an assist.
Acsom, that's what I was thinking.
Now, CJ comes in to say, I told you Yang was classic. Listen, there was people...
Hold on, I want receipts. I don't believe it.
Yes, evidence, please.
Well, there was people last year writing off Kuhn, and we know what happened with him as well. BJ, do you have a Yangometer now, like Kev's and Brendan's? Well, if I did, I'm going to say at certain points this season it was down at 4, my Yangometer, right? And tonight it's kind of like going between 7 and 8 tonight, quarterback, but punk. So I do have a Yangometer.
There's times in November, December where we were just done with him. We were like, he doesn't have it. Like, I think that Dundee United, the 0-0 game at Tannadice, we're just like, he's done. Like, he's got nothing to offer us. And like, tonight he's offered more than we thought he could.
And that's why I'm reluctant, actually. And because I've probably already had an opinion of Ida, you know, fixed in my mind because of what he done last season, but also what he's done this season. You know, I keep focusing on what he has done in the Champions League. He gets off the mark against Slovan Bratislava. He scores the 2 goals against Villa. I thought he played really well away against Atalanta, and he forces a goal against Young Boys. He sets up the goal for where he's part of the build-up for Kuhn's goal against Bayern Munich. I think he had a very good Champions League campaign. So I think he's got a bit of credit in the bank. I'm not willing to write off Ida, but a lot of people are now in the comment section and they are concerned about Ida. AR says Ida cannot live off last season. I don't think he is, but he's certainly not giving us the big moments that he did last season, to be fair. And Ridiculizer says, no more excuses for Celtic strikers this year. I've heard them all. Well, I always believe, although Roger says he doesn't need it, I always believe that a Celtic striker should be scoring 20, 25, 30 plus even. You know, Scott McDonald, we signed him from Motherwell and he scores 32 goals in a season. You know, Lee Griffiths, although we signed him from Wolves, he had spent time at Hibs, Livy, Dundee. We bring him in, he turns into a striker who can score 40 goals. We create so many chances. And I think that's what becomes frustrating when a Kyogo, a type player, doesn't score 25, 30 goals. And Ida this season perhaps doesn't get into the goals as much as we would like. But we need to dedicate a bit of time to Maeda because he's having the season of his life. He is, I'm not even going to say he's a front runner for Player of the Year. It's going to take something pretty incredible to take that mantle from him, Chris. He is. He's Scotland's Player of the Year this season.
Oh, I don't think it's in doubt. Just for a touch on Maeda, just there's something that kind of struck me as you were talking there about Ida and Yang both. The harkens back, I'm going to name drop again. I apologise in advance for it, but Peter Grant made a point.
Oh, who else?
Right,
just get all the phone book out. Start talking about all your pals. Yeah.
No, I was going to bring word on it. I'm not going to do that. Right. So,
what was Granty saying? What was Granty saying?
He said something that actually resonated, which I really liked. He said the challenge as a Celtic player is not getting into the team. It's not getting into the team. It's staying in the team. Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at both Ida and Yang, you know, a little bit of a contrast. Yang for me is doing what it takes to find a way into the Celtic team at the moment with his performances. And that's all you can ask of a player. You know, it doesn't matter what he's done before. When he gets an opportunity now, he's improving, he's elevating his game, he's playing to the standard and the expectations. Ida came in with a bang, did really well, you know, helped us over the line last season, had some decent performances this season, but he's struggling to establish himself in the team because of the lack of consistency. So the two of them are facing the same challenge, but it's like, you know, they're in different degrees of success. So I think that's the big challenge on both the players. Yang needs to keep his improvement going and keep his progression. Eden needs to find that level again, and find his way back into the team, and then find a way to stay in the team, because he scored 2 goals against Villa and then you're not on it for the next league game. That's not good enough at this level. You need to do it week on week. That's the standards we set. And listen, very easy for us sitting here to say that, but that is what it means to be a Celtic player. So you're hoping he can do that. You come to Maeda, well, there's a key example. Someone who doesn't matter if he's playing on the wing, he's playing up front. What he's bringing to this team in terms of his goals, in terms of his his all-round game, the way he comes back and defends, the way he comes deep to get the ball. He's doing everything that you'd want from a Celtic player. And I agree. I don't think there's a player out there, certainly in outside of the absolute top leagues, that can replicate what Dyson Maeda does for our team. I mean, I think that the closest I could see, if it's Diddy Agat in the past, you'd maybe look at an Adama Traore or someone like that down at Fulham, who's, you know, got the pace and the physical element. But again, I would take Maeda over him at the moment. I think I just think Dyson has become indispensable to this team. He's found a way to, you know, niche out a role within Brendan Rodgers' system, which I don't think, as we've said, necessarily suits that traditional striker. You know, you have to find a way to be effective in this system, and by God, Maeda's found his way to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, you look at the way the players around him play when he's playing that up front position. You know, Jota seems to have more space. Whether it be Kuhn or Yang, the other side suddenly have more space. The midfield seem more confident about bringing the ball forward, because you've got a guy who'll actually go from the one end of the pitch to the other and track back and win a ball back and then feed the play. And next thing you know, he's back in the box. That is such a valuable teammate to have, I would think. So, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt who's going to be Player of the Year this year. I mean, I think for me, he's already got it, right? I don't think anything's going to change between now and the end of the season. For me, he's already got it. But
who do you think Young Player of the Year will be?
Yeah,
Lennon Miller will be in with a show.
Obviously, no, it's
Engels is the first one I went to.
Yeah. Listen, see with Engels again, my predictions were all right tonight. I predicted that Engels would be an absolute superstar, right? And he takes a good penalty as well tonight. Is, you know, a point where we continually just expect him to do that. We're one each. Engels will score. And I know he has missed one, but as Martin O'Neill once told me, Chris, never name drop, mate. Never name drop. John McDowell is having a conversation with somebody else in the comments. He's already paid his transfer fee. Wind your neck in. That's about Peter.
Maeda. Has he paid his transfer fee off yet?
That's another thing, by the way. Maeda he was only like 1.3. That's scary.
You think back at some of the players we've got for low transfer fees and how well they've done. I mean, the obvious ones, you know, the man with the dreadlocks, right? But there's been quite a few that we've not paid huge transfer fees, and they've massively paid that back. Maeda's surely got to be up there with them. I mean, surely without a doubt.
Yeah,
file under Lubo, Henrik, Matt O'Reilly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the aforementioned Didier Agat, 50 grand he cost.
That's right.
£50,000. That's just sensational stuff, isn't it? John Watt need to stop making excuses for Ida. He's not doing it. John, I get that frustration, but the thing with that is we've paid 8.5, rising to 9.5 for this player. Brendan Rodgers pushed and pushed and pushed to the point where we probably paid a few £1 million extra. And the guy who is probably the most shrewd in terms of finances that I know, that the most shrewd financial kind of thinker that I know in the Acsom team is Jim Orr, because money and finances were his thing in his career. And he said even he would pay £3 or £4 million over the odds, get the job done, get the deal done. So Brendan Rodgers needs to make it work. And this is the thing, right? We stop making excuses for Ida. We can stop making excuses, but Brendan Rodgers needs to find a way to get him back into the groove and back into this flow of scoring goals and looking confident and not overthinking it, and maybe not forcing it as much as he seems to be at the moment. Like you said, Chris, it's great that he's out in the right, but why is he out in the right? He should be in the middle, rather than, because again, when he finds himself in possession wide right, he then forgets what he's out there for, because it's not his natural habitat, if you like. So yes, you can say that, stop making excuses, but Brendan needs to find a way to get him back on form, doesn't he? I don't even know if I can say this. Cristiano Ronaldo says, opinionated Glaswegian OG. Yeah, I was doing an event that we're all name dropping tonight. I was doing an event a couple of years ago, and it was Brian McClare, right? And my hero back in the 80s. There was just something about it. I don't know if it was the mullet. But when he texted me back, he didn't text back Brian or any of that stuff, not even Chalky. He texts back Chocrates, right? So and then he's confirmed it, and I'm like, oh, that's great, Brian. I'm really looking forward. I didn't feel confident enough to call him Chalky. I'm really looking forward to that. So then it gives me a thumbs up, a wee 4-leaf clover, and then he signed it Chocaldinho. So he has a wee bit of fun with that as well. He's not talking about himself in the third person, at least.
I'll wear one of my away jerseys next week. It's got Sean Aldinho on the back.
Oh, has it? Oh, bro! No one called me Van Dijk. Right? Thanks every single one of you for getting involved. That was a great night of football. And yeah, I'm not complaining after scoring 10 goals in 2 games. Celtic are sitting 16 points. In case anyone missed it earlier, Motherwell pumped Rangers at Ibrox 2-1. Enjoy the highlights tonight. Thanks for getting involved on A Celtic State of Mind.
Yeah.
Chicaldo.
We've got if we win our next 3 league games, that's the league done.
Next 3 games.
3 league games. So we've got Hibs in the cup.